Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Pigskin Project YouTube channel. I am Matt Hartman, and today is Thursday Night Football. This is the Thursday Night Preview. Let's get you into the video. Starting Thursday Night Football, Vikings travel to Los Angeles to face the Chargers. I intentionally did not bring up the injury report on this one, so we could talk about it here. Andrew Van Ginkel is ruled out. Christian Darrisaw, Aaron Jones, and J.J. McCarthy are all questionable. There's no guarantee on if McCarthy plays or not. I know that is a big talking point in NFL media so far, but and then the Chargers, both of their tackles, their starting tackles outside of Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt and Trey Pipkins are questionable. Joe Alt said he's playing, so I believe him. So that would be a great plus for them if they were able to get Joe Alt back. First, I'll just hit on the McCarthy point before we get into anything else. Like, if McCarthy plays, what kind of defense is he going to face? Is he going to face a pressure packed defense like what was it? Who was it? Atlanta. Atlanta threw so much pressure at him in that game, and that was also because Darrisaw's not playing. That's because guys are going down all along the offensive line. Ryan Kelly's out already, so their starting center is out already, and those are one of the things that you want for a rookie quarterback to kind of stabilize the situation. So I'm interested to see a team that just does not pressure in the Chargers what they throw at McCarthy if he does play. I know Wentz is fully, no injury designation, so obviously, like, that kind of
Well,
leads me to believe he's going to play, but
K-
I don't know.
KOC came out saying that the starter is Carson Wentz. Like
Okay.
they put something, Vikings put something out on the Twitter account saying that Carson Wentz is the starting quarterback in this game. Given I don't know, I don't think that necessarily means that JJ McCarthy might not end up playing in this game. I still think that's a very real possibility with kind of the way people have been feeling
Hmm.
about Carson Wentz specifically in the time he's played, especially over the last couple games. So he very well could play. That being said, Carson Wentz is at least the starter going into this game. But whatever they end up doing at quarterback, I still think is very interesting. Kind of tidbit for the Chargers defense.
I think it's going to be interesting regardless what, the Vikings do outside of just this week, but for the rest of the season. You look at the rest of the games that they have on their schedule. You have the Packers twice, Lions twice, you have the Seahawks, you got the Bears, and then the Chargers as their toughest opponents, according to Tankathon. And then their easiest being the Giants, the Commanders, and then the Ravens and the Cowboys. And I would argue that all of these teams, and I mean, it's just that kind of year, I guess, you know what I mean, to where everybody's competitive. But like all of these teams that I'm seeing, excluding like maybe the Cowboys, are potential in the hunt, if not playoff teams. You know what I mean? And with that being said, throwing a guy like McCarthy back there when there hasn't been a lot of success in that, experiment within only 2 weeks of a sample size, um, and then looking at the job that Wentz has done, I'm not saying that Wentz is like for sure the guy and he's going to be the next Sam Darnold and great in this KOC offense. But what I'm saying is, I mean, I don't think that outside of normal, development reasons, that there's much of a reason to put McCarthy out there. But regardless, I mean, it's going to be tough for this Vikings team to go ahead, climb this hill. I mean, they're 3-3 right now, and I get that. And I mean, you might as well be 0-0 going into this, right? But that's a heck of a slate to walk into in hopes that you can make a run. And I'm not seeing anything from either one of these quarterbacks that makes me believe they're prepared to make a run. So, for me, sure, if you want to put McCarthy out there, go for it. I'm just going to anticipate you to just want to develop your guy that you draft in the first round. Like, I get that. But if you're wanting a better product, I would say there's at least an argument to make about Carson Wentz. I mean, look at the points that they've scored since Wentz came in as quarterback, given the fact that, they've played maybe two good teams, but look at the defenses that they've played too. I mean, okay, I'll give them this. The first game, 48-10, Carson Wentz didn't do that much against the Bengals. I mean, 14 for 20, 173 yards and 2 touchdowns, I'd say is doing enough, and then, look at the Steelers. They're competitive. They lost 21-24. And Wentz didn't play all that great, but he still put up 350 yards and 2 touchdowns. I know he had 2 interceptions with it, but the fact that they came that close to winning that game is fine. They beat the Browns, which have the least amount of offensive yards put up so far this season by any team in the league. And Carson Wentz still threw for 236 of those yards and a touchdown without an interception. I mean, I'm not going to go on and say for sure like every single game that he's played, but what I'm saying is that he hasn't played horrible. And, if you're wanting a playoff product this year, given the money that you invested, it makes more sense for Carson Wentz.
I would push back. If I'm being honest, I think a lot of it coincides more with the fact that it's Jordan Addison being back than it is any quarterback that's back there. I don't want to be a jerk, but I think Carson Wentz has been pretty bad, actually. And I think if you're going to get bad quarterback play, might as well give it to your young quarterback and see if you can develop something, especially if you already think through the first 7-8 weeks of the season that it's a lost season. Might as well see what you got in the young kid, especially now with Jordan Addison being back. But again, more kind of hyper-focused on this game. I think this is a chance for Dallas Turner to hopefully have kind of that game that we have all been waiting for. We know Joe Alt is obviously, well, we don't know for sure, but Joe Alt, as Matt had said, has hinted that he will be playing in this game. But again, on the flip side of that, it is Trey Pipkins. He's been fine. He's serviceable, but he's not good. And I think if you're game planning in the smart way, you put Grenard on Alt, and then you kind of just let Dallas Turner pin his ears back so you can finally hopefully be like, look, Dallas Turner, now's your chance. Go and feast when you can. And that's kind of the big matchup that I'm going to be paying attention in this game, as is pretty much every Chargers game is going to be all season long.
Yeah, I mean, for the Chargers side on offense, I think the biggest thing, taking a look back to the Colts game, is how we talked about on the recap, how everything just felt within 20 yards and everything wasn't able to be, downfield, and it's because the offensive line, so if you are getting a Joe Alt back, if you are getting Pipkins to, play, and you're taking, bad players off the field, you could get those opportunities downfield. You know why? Because Minnesota will give them to you. Minnesota, gave up multiple and plenty of explosive play touchdowns to Philly last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Philly didn't have a red zone possession until the end of the game, until that final, kneel down, ironically enough. So, just what they can do downfield, because Herbert is phenomenal at that stuff, reading defenses and being able to, split zone safeties and too high safeties. Nobody runs too high more than Brian Flores. We've known this for the last 3 years. And so I'm just interested to see how the Chargers attack that. If they do get back to what they were doing the first 2 weeks and being explosive downfield, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But and then just mentioning the rush defenses, rush offenses, both rushing games aren't, overly efficient or explosive, and both rush defenses aren't that good. So we'll, it's bad on bad. Maybe someone gets popped, maybe it's, an offensive line stat, and these guys getting healthy will help it out. But for the most part, both rushing games have not been good on either side. And then it gets me to my matchup, which is coincide with one of my picks that will have Quentin Johnston facing off against Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy has played a ton of outside corner this year. He was good at it last year. He has not been good this year. And Quentin Johnston, not good last year, has been good this year. He has been explosive downfield. I just mentioned talking about being explosive downfield. This is the guy to do it, and this is the matchup to pick on. A 6'4" guy against a 5'10" guy on the outside. That is what you would want to do. So My bet is Quentin Johnston to have his longest reception over 20.5 yards. He's hit this in 5 out of his 6 games he has played this year. The only one he did not hit was against the Commanders, in which they got stoned against the Commanders. So that is my pick for this game.
I just want to mention this really quick. I don't have necessarily a bet for it, but I just want to say that Khalil Mack was activated from injured reserve 4 days ago and did play on Sunday. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do tomorrow night, and what kind of workload they give him or continue to give him, rather, with that really gross elbow injury that he had a few weeks ago. I'm surprised that it came back this fast, to be honest with you, but he notched a sack in his comeback. So
I looked this up. How many snaps did he end up playing? I want to say he played like 9 snaps or something in that game, which was crazy.
That being said,
10
my
snaps, 12 total. Yep.
Yeah, my line for this game is kind of the line that I touched on a little bit. It's gonna be Jonathan Grenard to record a sack that's minus 114. But if you guys wanted to throw in what Ryan wanted, Khalil Mack is plus 168 in terms of recording a sack in this game. Again, as Matt had said,
Wentz is playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is my point. It's a nice little parlay, Matt. Do you have that? I can always whip it up here really quickly if you don't.
So we're throwing in Ryan's as the sack for Khalil Mack.
Yeah. So if you do the over on Quentin Johnston's longest reception, being the 20.5 is at least what I have it listed as, and then a Khalil Mack sack and Jonathan Grenard sack. Those 3 together, at least on FanDuel, will bring you up to plus 707. You put $10 in, you'll win $80.70. It's a nice little funny thing. It'll be fun to track to see how we do along, with our pigskin payout throughout the season here.
We've got so close.
All right, the last thing before we close it out. Let's make a pick on this game. We'll come back to it in pigskin pick'em, but just for this segment, who do you guys got winning this game?
Chargers.
Gotta
say that too quick?
Yeah, I'll go with the Chargers, but I don't feel comfortable with it.
All right. I was just asking because the last 3 Thursday night football games, the underdog has outright won all of them. Yeah. Of course, this underdog is much shorter odds in terms of the other ones, but still just a fascinating thought experiment. But that is all for Thursday night football.
The favorite team has only won one time through the first 7 weeks of the season or whatnot. So it's a fun little thing to watch there for our bettors.
Yep. All right.